Tom had never seen a sky like this before. The air shimmered with soft colors, as if the heavens were painted with liquid light. Velora's twin suns cast a glow that made every crystal tower gleam like fire trapped in glass. His ship had landed only an hour ago, yet already he felt the weight of being far from Earth. He was not just a visitor here. He was a symbol. Humans had finally been invited to Velora, a world that for centuries avoided outsiders. This invitation was not given easily. The Velorans considered humanity wild and untamed. Many alien races spoke of humans as reckless, as a species that would rather fight than bow. And yet, here Tom stood, chosen as part of the first human delegation. The great hall was filled with Veloran nobles. Their robes shimmered like the crystal walls, each movement reflecting the suns above. Their faces were calm, yet their eyes followed Tom with suspicion. He felt their judgment like a heavy cloak, but he kept his head high. His duty was not to argue but to prove that humans could be more than the rumors claimed. At the center of the hall sat Princess Lyra. She was unlike anyone Tom had ever seen. Her hair shone silver like flowing metal, her skin faintly glowing with a pale blue light. When she spoke, her voice was clear and sharp, as if every word were cut from stone. "You are Tom of Earth," she said. "The council tells me you are here to speak for your people." Tom bowed slightly, the way he was taught. "Yes, Princess. I am honored to be here." Her gaze was steady, piercing, and unyielding. "Honored, perhaps. But do you understand why Velora hesitates to welcome your kind? Your people are known across the stars as dangerous. You fight wars when peace is possible. You conquer when others would share. Why should we trust you here?" The hall grew silent. Every noble leaned closer, waiting to hear how the human would answer. Tom did not look away. His heart pounded, but he forced his words to stay calm. "I understand your fear. Humans are strong-willed, and sometimes we are quick to fight. But we fight because survival has shaped us. Earth is not a gentle world. Storms, hunger, and hardship taught us to endure. We may be dangerous, but we are also loyal to those who stand with us." Murmurs spread through the hall. Some nobles frowned, others nodded slightly, as if considering his words. Princess Lyra, however, did not move. Her eyes narrowed, and for a moment Tom thought she might demand his removal from the chamber. Instead, she leaned forward. "You admit you are dangerous," she said. "Yes," Tom answered firmly. "I will not lie. But danger can protect as much as it can harm. The choice is in how it is used." Her expression softened only for a breath, then hardened again. "I will watch you closely, human. Velora does not give its trust easily. Remember that." Tom nodded. He felt relief that he had not been dismissed, but he also knew this was only the beginning. Later, as the delegation was guided through the palace, Tom's thoughts kept returning to the princess. She had spoken with authority, but there had been something else in her eyes. It was not only distrust. It was curiosity. He sensed she wanted to believe something different about humans but had been raised to see them as a threat. The palace itself was like nothing Tom had imagined. The floors glowed faintly beneath his steps, each crystal tile storing sunlight during the day and releasing it at night. Gardens grew inside the walls, plants woven with strands of light that hummed softly as if alive with song. Velora was beauty shaped into stone and air, a place so peaceful that Tom understood why its people feared outsiders. That night, when the sun set and the palace grew quiet, Tom stood on a balcony overlooking the city. Ships glided across the sky like glowing birds, and the streets below shone with threads of silver light. For a moment he felt small, just one human among billions of Velorans. Yet he also felt something else stirring in him. Determination. He thought of Lyra's words. Humans were dangerous. He could not deny that. But perhaps this was why he had been chosen. Not to hide that truth, but to show that danger did not mean destruction. It could also mean strength, protection, and resilience. As he turned to leave the balcony, he heard footsteps. Princess Lyra stood in the doorway, her silver hair catching the moonlight. She studied him quietly for a long time before speaking. "You do not hide your nature," she said. "That is unusual. Most who come before me speak only what they think I wish to hear." Tom gave a small smile. "I don't know how to be anyone else. If I hide the truth, then I prove your fears right. Honesty is the only path to trust." Her eyes flickered with something unreadable. She stepped closer, looking past him at the city. "Velora has stood for thousands of years without war. My people believe we must protect this peace by keeping danger away. And yet, here I am, standing beside the very danger I was warned of since childhood." "Then maybe," Tom said gently, "this is where peace can be tested. Not by avoiding danger, but by learning how to live with it." For a long moment she said nothing. Then she turned and walked back into the hall, her voice drifting behind her. "We shall see, human. We shall see." Tom watched her leave, knowing that this was not just the beginning of a mission. It was the beginning of something greater. A challenge, a test, and perhaps even a bond that neither of them had expected. That night, while the palace slept, Velora's princess lay awake, her thoughts tangled with doubt and curiosity. She still believed humans were dangerous. But now she also wondered if danger could sometimes be the shield that saves instead of the blade that cuts. The next morning, Tom woke to the soft glow of Velora's twin suns. Light streamed through the crystal windows, scattering into hundreds of tiny rainbows across the polished floor. He felt the weight of the previous day, the meeting with Princess Lyra still fresh in his mind. He knew she watched him, not just as a guest, but as a test. Her eyes had been sharp, questioning, and filled with suspicion. Yet beneath it, he sensed a curiosity that he could not ignore. Tom was not alone. The human delegation had gathered in a smaller council chamber, a room of gleaming walls and softly humming light crystals. Representatives from Velora were already seated, their faces calm but distant. Whispers floated through the room. Humans were dangerous. Trusting them could bring disaster. Some of the council members eyed Tom as if they expected him to make a mistake. The meeting began with the Veloran ambassador speaking in soft, precise tones. "Earth has arrived at our gates. We welcome our guests but remain cautious. Your species carries a reputation, one that cannot be ignored." Tom stood, placing his hands calmly on the table. "We understand your caution. Humans have made mistakes. We are not perfect. But our nature is not only defined by what we have done wrong. We adapt, learn, and fight for those we care about. We are capable of great cooperation, not only conflict." A Veloran noble with emerald eyes leaned forward. "And yet, your people have fought wars across many worlds. You have conquered planets. You have endangered alliances. How can we believe that this time will be different?" Tom took a deep breath. "Because we come here not as conquerors, but as partners. The same skills that make humans strong in battle can also protect peace. We survive through loyalty, resilience, and creativity. Danger does not always mean destruction. Sometimes it is what keeps others safe." Murmurs ran through the room. Some Velorans nodded slightly, while others frowned. Tom could feel the tension, the weight of centuries of fear and prejudice. Then, a soft voice spoke from the corner. "Do you truly believe what you say?" Princess Lyra stepped forward, her silver hair catching the light. Every eye in the room followed her as she walked toward Tom. "You speak well, human. But words alone do not erase centuries of caution. You claim humans are loyal and protective. How can I trust that your kind will not harm Velora?" Tom met her gaze steadily. "Trust is earned, Princess. I am here not to demand it, but to show it through action. Your caution is wise. I do not expect blind faith. I only ask for a chance to prove that humans can be more than their reputation. Her expression softened slightly, but the tension in her voice remained. Chance is not freely given to my people. We have seen civilizations rise and fall because they ignored danger. I was taught to keep humans at a distance. And yet, something about you does not feel like the rest of your kind. Tom smiled faintly. Perhaps that is because we are all shaped by the choices we make. One person can be different from another. That is what makes humans strong. We learn from our mistakes, and sometimes, we can surprise even ourselves. Lyra looked down at the table, her thoughts hidden behind her calm face. She had spent years studying humans, reading reports and histories that painted them as reckless and aggressive. Every part of her expected this human to be arrogant or dangerous. Yet, in his calm voice, she heard honesty and restraint. Something in him made her question everything she had been told. The council meeting continued with more discussion, but Tom found himself only half listening. He could not stop thinking about Lyra. She had warned him, called humans dangerous, yet she had approached him in the council chamber. She had asked questions that mattered, questions that only someone willing to listen would ask. After the meeting, Tom was escorted to a quiet garden within the palace. The garden was a maze of light-filled plants and crystal walkways. A soft breeze carried the scent of glowing flowers, and small pools of water reflected the twin suns above. Tom walked slowly, letting the beauty of Velora settle his mind. Then he heard footsteps behind him. Lyra had followed him. She stopped a few feet away, her hands folded, her gaze steady. "You did not fear me in the council," she said. "Most humans would be intimidated by the authority of Velora's council. You stood your ground calmly." Tom shook his head. "I do not fear authority. I fear failing to show the truth. Fear can make people act against their own values. I choose to act with honesty, even if it is difficult." Lyra studied him. "And yet, your people are dangerous. You know it, and I know it. How do you reconcile that with your calmness?" Tom paused, choosing his words carefully. "Danger is not always negative. It is a force. It can destroy, yes, but it can also protect. Humans have survived because we face danger head-on. We adapt and protect what we value. That is what makes us capable of great loyalty and courage." She tilted her head, considering him. "And you speak as if it is easy. Yet, you are far from home, in a world that does not trust your kind. You could leave, return to Earth. Why stay?" Tom smiled softly. "Because some challenges are worth facing. Some truths are worth proving. I am here to show that humans can protect, not only threaten. And perhaps, in doing so, I will learn from your people as well." For a moment, silence hung between them. The garden was calm, the soft hum of crystals around them filling the space. Lyra felt a strange sense of ease, a feeling she had not expected. The human before her did not fit the image she had carried for centuries. He was dangerous, yes, but also honest, brave, and thoughtful. Perhaps danger could exist without chaos. Perhaps humans could be something more than she had believed. "You speak well, Tom of Earth," she said quietly. "But words are not proof. Your actions will show me who your kind truly is. Until then, I will watch you closely." Tom bowed slightly. "I would expect nothing less. I hope that in time, my actions will speak as clearly as my words." As Lyra turned to leave, Tom watched her move through the glowing garden. Her presence was commanding, yet there was curiosity and doubt in her eyes. He knew this was only the beginning. The clash of views had begun, not in anger, but in challenge. And through this challenge, both human and Valoran would discover truths that neither expected. The suns rose higher, bathing Velora in brilliant light. Tom felt a mixture of determination and anticipation. He was far from Earth, in a world that had never welcomed humans. Yet he felt ready. Ready to show that humans could be more than dangerous. Ready to prove that courage, loyalty, and ingenuity were as much a part of humanity as fire or storm. And Princess Lyra, watching him from a distance, wondered if perhaps the human before her was not a threat at all. Perhaps he was the first sign that humans could be allies, not enemies. The council would not yet accept him. Velora would not yet trust him. But a seed had been planted. The first step of understanding had begun. And both human and Veloran would have to walk carefully, learning to trust what they did not yet fully understand. The morning on Velora began with a delicate stillness. The twin suns rose slowly over the crystal city, casting long, glowing reflections across the palace floors. Tom had barely slept. Thoughts of the council, of Princess Lyra, and of his duty to prove humanity's worth filled his mind. Every shadow in the palace seemed alive with suspicion. Velora had welcomed humans, but trust was still a fragile gift. The peace talks were scheduled for later in the day. Delegates from neighboring systems were expected to arrive to observe the discussion. Tom understood that these talks were not only for diplomacy but also a test of human patience and skill. Even one wrong word or misstep could undo weeks of preparation. As he walked through the corridors, Tom noticed a whispering tension among the palace guards. Their posture was rigid, their eyes scanning every corner. The usual calm of Velora seemed disturbed. A sudden alarm echoed through the halls, a low but urgent hum that caused crystal panels to flicker. "Sabotage!" shouted a voice from down the hall. Panic rippled across the delegation. Veloran officials rushed past Tom, their robes brushing against the glowing walls. Tom's instincts kicked in immediately. He moved toward the sound, carefully avoiding chaos while assessing the situation. He had trained for emergencies, but nothing could have prepared him for sabotage in a palace built of fragile crystal. Princess Lyra appeared ahead of him. Her silver hair shimmered under the emergency lights. Her eyes were wide, but controlled, as if she were balancing fear and duty at the same time. "Tom," she called. "The council believes it may be your kind. They say humans are dangerous." Tom's heart tightened. He had expected suspicion, but not an accusation during a crisis. He looked at her steadily. "I did not cause this. I want to help, not harm. Trust me when I say that humans do not always follow fear. We act for what is right." Lyra hesitated. For a moment, her training told her to pull back, to order his confinement. Yet something about his calmness, his readiness to act, made her pause. She motioned for him to follow her. They ran through corridors where light and shadow played across the walls. Debris from a minor explosion littered the floor, shards of glowing crystal that could cut through skin easily. Tom carefully stepped around them, keeping his eyes on the guards and nobles rushing past. They reached a central chamber where a security panel flashed red. Lyra turned to him. "Help me access the council records. They will show the true source of the sabotage. But be careful. One wrong move could worsen the situation." Tom nodded. His hands moved quickly and precisely over the alien controls, using logic and intuition to navigate the unfamiliar technology. Every wire he touched, every symbol he pressed, seemed to hum with energy. Within moments, he traced the disturbance to a small, hidden room beneath the palace. "There," he said. "The source is isolated. No humans are involved. This is a Veloran faction trying to disrupt the talks and frame outsiders." Lyra's eyes widened. I did not expect this. You were right. Humans are not responsible. Why did I doubt you?" Tom smiled faintly. "Because suspicion is natural. It is not weakness. You were taught to protect your people, and you acted on what you believed. But now you see that humans can act with honesty and courage, even when the odds seem against us. She studied him quietly. Even so, can you trust that this situation will not become worse? The council will be furious. They may confine you, even though you are innocent. Tom's expression hardened with determination. I trust that truth will be seen. I cannot control fear, but I can act. That is what humans do. We do not wait for certainty. We move forward, guided by logic and integrity. Lyra took a deep breath, as if drawing strength from his words. She extended her hand. Then come with me. If we act quickly, we can prevent the council from making a mistake. We can stop this before it spreads. Together, they moved to the hidden chamber. Tom worked alongside her to disable the sabotage devices, carefully dismantling delicate mechanisms and rerouting power flows. Each step required trust. Lyra trusted him to handle the machinery, and Tom trusted her knowledge of Valoran systems. When the final device was neutralized, they paused, both breathing heavily from the exertion. Tom looked at Lyra. This was more than a test of skill. It was a test of trust. You trusted me enough to act with me rather than against me. She nodded, a small smile forming. You have shown that humans can be more than their reputation. You act with purpose and courage. But remember, the council still watches. Your actions have not erased centuries of fear. Tom's gaze swept over the chamber, the glowing walls reflecting both danger and triumph. I understand. Trust is earned, not given. I will continue to prove it. A quiet moment passed between them. Lyra's expression softened further. Even if I still believe humans are dangerous, I cannot deny the truth I have seen. Courage, honesty, and quick thinking, these are not traits of recklessness. They are traits of strength. Tom smiled. Thank you. That means more than you realize. Sometimes fear blinds people to what is possible. But action can reveal the truth. Suddenly, a Valoran guard entered the chamber, bowing slightly. Princess, the council demands your presence. They wish to discuss the sabotage and the human involvement. They may question the decision to allow him access. Lyra turned to Tom, her silver hair catching the light. We must face them together. Your honesty and my words may be the only way to prevent punishment for something you did not do. Tom nodded. Then we face it together. I am ready. As they walked toward the council chamber, a quiet understanding grew between them. The princess who had called humans dangerous now saw that danger could coexist with courage, loyalty, and wisdom. The human who had been warned against the Valoran people now understood the careful precision required to earn trust. The doors of the council chamber opened before them. Inside, the council members sat with their usual calm expressions, though a few showed hints of frustration. Tom and Lyra entered together, side by side. Princess, one of the council spoke sharply. Explain why you have allowed this human to interfere in security matters. Valora does not tolerate recklessness. Lyra stepped forward confidently. The human acted not recklessly, but with precision and courage. The sabotage was traced to our own faction, attempting to frame outsiders. He helped prevent disaster. I trust his actions, and I will vouch for his integrity. The council members exchanged glances. Murmurs spread. Some still doubted, but others nodded slowly. Tom bowed. I understand your caution. I am not here to replace Valoran vigilance, but to work with it. My actions are meant to show that humans can act with honesty, even when tested. The room grew silent. Slowly, one by one, the council members nodded. The tension eased slightly. Lyra looked at Tom, a quiet approval in her eyes. He had survived the trial, not only of skill but of trust. That night, as Tom returned to his quarters, he felt a sense of accomplishment. He had faced suspicion, danger, and the weight of ancient prejudice. He had proven that humans could act with courage and integrity. Lyra, watching from a high balcony, thought quietly about the day. She still believed humans were dangerous, yet the human before her had shown her a different possibility. Perhaps danger could be tempered by loyalty, courage, and wisdom. Perhaps humans were not only wild and unpredictable. Perhaps they could be allies. The palace of Velora was silent in the early hours, but the calm was only a mask. Outside, the twin suns were rising slowly, casting long rays of light through the crystal towers. Inside, the quiet was broken by alarms that echoed through the halls, signaling a new threat. Tom and Princess Lyra had barely settled after the previous day's sabotage. The council had praised their actions quietly, but whispers of distrust lingered in the corridors. No one spoke openly, but the tension was as thick as crystal walls. Tom knew that danger could strike again at any moment. Suddenly, a loud explosion shook the palace. The ground trembled beneath their feet, and small shards of crystal fell from the ceilings. Guards shouted orders, rushing to secure the area. The humans and Velorans in the council chamber froze for a moment. This was no minor incident. This was a direct attack. Lyra grabbed Tom's arm. "This is worse than before. We need to move. Now." They ran through the palace corridors, stepping carefully to avoid debris. The air smelled faintly of burning crystal, and the soft hum of the palace's energy systems faltered and flickered. The alarm lights bathed the hall in red, warning of danger everywhere. Tom noticed a Veloran guard struggling to clear a blocked doorway. Without hesitation, he pushed the debris aside, using his strength and quick thinking to create a safe path. Lyra followed closely, her movements swift and precise. Together, they moved as a team, their steps synchronized despite the chaos. "They are trying to trap us inside," Lyra shouted over the alarms. "The attackers know our layout. Someone from within must have helped them." Tom's mind raced. He had learned to adapt quickly, to assess risks and find solutions in impossible situations. "We cannot fight them head on. We need to use the hidden passages. Lead me to them." Lyra nodded, trusting him completely. She guided him to a narrow corridor hidden behind a glowing wall panel. Few in the palace knew it existed. It twisted and turned, descending into the depths of the palace. The walls pulsed faintly with energy, reflecting their own anxious faces as they moved. "This way," she whispered. "It will take us beneath the palace, where the attackers cannot reach so easily." The tunnels were tight, but Tom moved carefully, keeping alert for any traps. His experience on Earth had taught him to stay calm under pressure, to watch for danger before it struck. When a section of the tunnel shook violently, he grabbed Lyra's arm, pulling her to safety just as a small crystal shard fell where she had been standing. "Thank you," she said quietly. "I would have been hit if not for you." Tom shook his head. "We protect each other. That is what humans do. Loyalty is more than words. It is action." They moved deeper into the tunnels, the hum of the palace above growing distant. Outside, the attackers were advancing through the main halls, unaware that their intended targets had escaped. Tom glanced at Lyra. She had never smiled before in such a situation, but now there was a faint relief in her eyes. She was beginning to see the human way of facing danger, not with fear, but with courage and quick thinking. Suddenly, a hidden door opened ahead, revealing a small chamber. Lyra paused, listening. The faint sound of movement echoed from the upper levels. The attackers were searching systematically. Tom motioned for her to enter the chamber. Inside, they found a cluster of old Veloran equipment and emergency supplies. Energy packs, healing devices, and small tools were scattered across tables. Tom's eyes lit up. "We can use these. We can create distractions to slow them down and buy more time." Lyra looked surprised. "You are thinking strategically, not just running. Humans truly do not flee danger blindly." Tom smiled faintly. We survive by finding solutions. Danger is part of life. How we respond defines who we are. He began assembling a small device using Valoran energy packs and a few mechanical components. Lyra watched, impressed by his speed and precision. Within minutes, Tom had created a portable device that could emit a bright flash and a loud sound, drawing attention away from their escape route. "Ready?" he asked. Lyra nodded. "Let us go." They emerged from the chamber into a side passage, moving silently. Tom activated the device, and a sudden flash of light erupted down the main corridor above, accompanied by a piercing sound. Guards and attackers alike rushed toward the noise, giving Tom and Lyra a chance to move further away undetected. The tunnels led them to a lower courtyard. Crystal pillars and pools of water reflected the rising suns, creating a serene image that belied the chaos above. They paused for a moment, catching their breath. "You did this," Lyra said softly. "You saved both of us. Even when the palace was in danger, you acted without hesitation." Tom shook his head. "We saved each other. That is what humans do. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is choosing to act despite fear." Her eyes met his. For the first time, Lyra felt something unfamiliar: trust. She had always been taught that humans were dangerous, unpredictable, and reckless. Yet here was a human who had shown calmness, bravery, and loyalty. Perhaps danger was not always a threat. Perhaps it could also protect. They moved through the courtyard toward the outer gates. Guards were still searching for them, but the tunnels had given them a head start. Lyra paused at a small alcove overlooking the city. Ships glided across the sky, unaware of the chaos below. She took a deep breath. "Tom, I do not understand why I feel this sense of safety near you. You are from a dangerous species, yet I feel safer beside you than with my own guards." Tom smiled. "Because danger does not always mean harm. Sometimes, it is courage that protects. I will not let anything happen to you." They reached the palace wall, finding an emergency lift that descended further into a hidden part of the city. Tom pressed the controls, and the lift moved smoothly downwards. As the palace shrank above them, Lyra felt a strange mixture of relief and admiration. "You have shown me something new," she said. "Perhaps humans are not only dangerous. Perhaps they are capable of things we have never imagined. Courage, loyalty, and quick thinking. I see it in you." Tom looked at her, his expression calm. "Humans are complicated. We are strong, we are loyal, and we are willing to fight for what we care about. That is what makes us dangerous, but also what makes us valuable allies." The lift reached the lower city, and they stepped out into the quiet streets. The early morning light reflected off the crystal buildings, creating a world that was beautiful and peaceful, untouched by the chaos that had rocked the palace. For the first time, Lyra allowed herself to relax. She still believed humans were dangerous, yet she could not deny the truth she had seen. Danger could protect as well as threaten. Humans could act with honor, courage, and loyalty. As they walked through the streets, Tom looked at her and said, "This is only the beginning. There will be more challenges. But if we face them together, we can prove that humans are more than what others say about us." Lyra nodded, her silver hair catching the light. "I believe you, Tom. I do not know what the future holds, but I know that I trust you. Even if my people still doubt, I trust you." Together, they disappeared into the lower city, ready to face whatever came next. The palace behind them remained under threat, but the bond between human and Valoran had been tested and strengthened. In the heart of danger, trust had begun to grow. The lower city of Velora was quiet beneath the twin moons, its crystal streets glowing softly under the evening lights. Tom and Princess Lyra had found a hidden chamber among the old arches, a place abandoned but safe for the night. The alarms had faded above, and for a few hours, they could breathe without the chaos pressing on them. Lyra sat on a raised platform, her silver hair catching the gentle light. She had spent the day watching Tom, noting the calm and focus he maintained even when danger surrounded them. The truth was difficult for her to accept. Humans were dangerous, her teachers had warned. They were unpredictable, reckless, and often violent. And yet, this human before her had proven courage, wisdom, and loyalty beyond measure. Tom placed a small pack of supplies on the ground and sat beside her. "You should eat something," he said softly. "You need strength, even if the palace is quiet for a moment." Lyra shook her head. "I am not hungry. I am thinking about humans, about you. I still believe your species is dangerous, yet I feel safer beside you than with anyone else here." Tom looked at her calmly. Danger does not always mean harm. It can mean willingness to protect, to fight for what matters. That is what humans do. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is acting despite fear. That is what makes humans dangerous, and what makes them valuable. Lyra studied his face, noting the calm determination in his eyes. "You speak as if danger is a choice, something to control, not something to fear. That is unlike anything I have been taught. Humans are not meant to control danger, they are meant to survive it." Tom shook his head. "No. Humans survive, yes, but we also shape danger. We learn from it, adapt to it, and sometimes use it to protect others. That is what I have tried to show you today. That is why I acted, even when it was risky." Lyra's eyes softened. She had never heard anyone speak this way. Velorans valued caution above all, but Tom spoke of action, trust, and courage. It challenged everything she had been taught. "Why do you risk yourself for others?" she asked quietly. "You could have left the palace, returned to safety, yet you stayed. Why?" Tom smiled faintly. "Because some things are worth facing. Some truths are worth proving. I could not run from danger and claim to represent humanity's honor. Courage is not for oneself alone, it is for those who depend on you. And today, you depended on me." Lyra considered his words. Her entire life had been dedicated to protecting Velora, keeping outsiders at a distance, and avoiding unnecessary risk. Yet this human had faced danger without hesitation, showing not recklessness, but strategy, skill, and loyalty. Perhaps humans were more than she had believed. The chamber was silent for a moment, the hum of distant crystals the only sound. Lyra shifted closer to Tom, her voice softer. "I do not understand it fully. I still believe humans are dangerous. Yet, I feel that tonight, I am safe with you." Tom nodded. "You are safe. I will not let anything happen to you. That is my choice. That is what humans call loyalty. We protect those who trust us, even when the world is uncertain." Lyra's eyes lingered on him, the tension from the day slowly easing. She had always valued reason, caution, and control. But tonight, reason told her one thing while her instincts told her another. She was drawn to the human beside her, not in fear, but in trust. "Do humans always act like this?" she asked. Tom thought for a moment. "No. Humans are flawed. We make mistakes. We are loud, we argue, we fight. But we also love, protect, and endure. Courage and loyalty are the choices we make, not the instincts we follow. That is what makes us who we are." Lyra nodded slowly, understanding dawning. Her people had studied humanity, but they had only seen danger. They had never seen the choices that define strength. Tonight, she had seen it. She had seen a human act with purpose, bravery, and integrity. A faint sound from the corridor caught their attention. Tom stood quickly, placing himself between Lyra and the door. His training on Earth, his instincts honed through years of challenges, kept him alert. Yet it was not fear that guided him. It was responsibility. He would not let anyone harm the princess. Lyra watched him, admiration in her eyes. "You are always ready," she said softly. "Even when you should rest, you are alert. That is why I feel safe beside you." Tom relaxed slightly, sitting back down. "Because safety is my choice. Danger is everywhere, but protection is something we can choose to give. That is why I act, why I trust, and why I hope others can see the truth of humans." The chamber grew quiet again, the city outside shimmering beneath the twin moons. Lyra felt a sense of peace she had not known before. She still believed humans were dangerous, yet she also believed that some humans could be different. Could be brave, loyal, and protective. Could be trusted. She looked at Tom, a small smile forming on her lips. Perhaps danger is not always what we fear. Perhaps courage and loyalty can be stronger than fear itself. Tom nodded. That is exactly right. Danger can test us, but it can also reveal the best in us. Tonight, we have seen both sides of that truth. The silence stretched, filled with understanding rather than words. Lyra moved closer to Tom, resting her hands lightly on her knees. "I will sleep now," she said. "I do not usually trust anyone so quickly, but tonight, I feel that I can." Tom nodded. "Sleep well. We have much ahead of us, and rest is important. You are safe here." For the first time since she had met him, Lyra allowed herself to relax completely. She still believed humans were dangerous, yet she felt secure beside Tom. Not out of fear, but out of trust. She rested her head lightly, careful yet unguarded, knowing that the human beside her would not allow harm to come to her. Tom watched her settle, his expression calm. He understood the weight of trust. It was rare, precious, and fragile. And tonight, Princess Lyra had given it to him. He would honor it, protect it, and prove that humans could live up to the ideals they claimed. Outside, the city glowed softly under the moons, a peaceful world that had almost been shattered. Inside the chamber, a bond had begun to form, one forged not in words alone, but in courage, action, and mutual respect. As sleep began to take Lyra, Tom remained awake for a few moments, reflecting on the events of the day. The sabotage, the palace alarms, the narrow escape, and the calm resolve they had both shown it all pointed to one truth. Humans could be dangerous, yes, but they could also be protectors, allies, and friends. And perhaps, in time, that truth could change the way Valores saw them all. Finally, as the moons rose high and the city rested, Tom allowed himself a small moment of quiet. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new tests, and perhaps new dangers. But tonight, trust had been proven, courage had been recognized, and the first steps of understanding had begun. Princess Lyra slept beside him, still believing humans were dangerous, yet feeling safe for the first time with one. And Tom knew that sometimes, actions spoke louder than any words could, revealing the truth in ways that history, prejudice, or fear could never undo. The sun rose over Velora, casting long golden reflections across the crystal towers. The palace, though restored after the recent sabotage, still carried the tension of the previous days. Tom and Princess Lyra knew the danger had not ended. The attacks had been precise, intelligent, and deliberate. Someone wanted to harm Velora and blame outsiders. Tom stood in the lower courtyard, surveying the city from the shadows of the crystal pillars. His eyes followed the movements of the guards, who had returned to their patrols but remained wary. Lyra approached quietly, her silver hair shimmering in the morning light. "They are planning again," she said softly. "I can feel it. The attacks were too coordinated to be random. Someone inside the palace still wants to harm us." Tom nodded. "We need to find out who before more damage is done. Humans survive because we observe, plan, and act. Danger does not always strike first, it waits for opportunity. We need to be ready. Together, they moved through the city toward the palace, careful to remain unseen. Tom's knowledge of strategy, his human ability to think creatively under pressure, guided them through alleys and side streets. Lyra followed, trusting him completely. She had seen what humans could do in the face of danger. They acted decisively, quickly, and with courage. Inside the palace, the council was already meeting. Valoran nobles whispered nervously as reports of new disturbances reached them. Lyra and Tom entered quietly, listening as the discussion unfolded. "This cannot be random," one noble said. "The sabotage was deliberate. Someone within Valora must be working against us." "But who?" Lyra glanced at Tom, her expression tense. "It is not outsiders this time. The patterns, the timing, the access points, they all point to someone who knows the palace intimately. Someone jealous of the alliance with Earth." Tom's mind worked rapidly. He remembered the layout, the security weaknesses, and the timing of the previous attacks. "Then we must anticipate their next move. If we think like them, we can predict where they will strike and prevent it." The council turned to Lyra. "You trust the human?" one noble asked sharply. "I do," she said firmly. "His actions have proven his courage and loyalty. He understands strategy and danger better than many Valorans. Together, we can stop the threat." Tom nodded. "We need information. Look for anomalies in schedules, access points, and communications. The enemy relies on precision. We will use that against them." Hours passed as Tom and Lyra worked through data, patrol reports, and the palace layout. They identified a hidden passage beneath the council chamber, a route unknown to most Valorans. Tom studied it carefully. "This is where they will strike next. Whoever planned the previous sabotage will assume the palace is secure above. This passage will be their advantage." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Then we must be ready. We will face them together. Valora's strength and human ingenuity combined." As night fell, the palace grew quiet. Tom and Lyra positioned themselves near the hidden passage, ready for whatever came. Hours passed, and the silence seemed endless. Then, faint sounds reached their ears, shuffling, whispers, and the soft hum of machinery. The enemy had arrived. From the shadows, they saw the intruders emerge. They were Valorans, but not all. Some wore masks, hiding their identities, while others carried equipment designed to breach palace defenses. Tom's heart pounded, but he remained calm. This was the test he had anticipated. "Stay close," he whispered to Lyra. "Watch, observe, and act when the moment comes." The intruders moved with confidence, unaware that their actions were visible. Tom signaled to Lyra, and together they set small traps using Valoran energy devices, creating loud noises and flashing lights that disoriented the attackers. Some stumbled, others paused, unsure of what had happened. Tom seized the moment. Using his knowledge of physics and mechanics, he triggered small energy barriers that blocked the intruders' escape routes. Lyra moved beside him, using her authority and skill to guide palace guards who had secretly followed them. "Do not let them escape," she commanded. "Protect the passage and secure the council chamber." The intruders tried to fight back, but Tom's strategies, combined with Lyra's coordination, gave them the advantage. One masked attacker attempted to slip past, but Tom anticipated the move, intercepting him and using a swift maneuver to disarm the enemy. Lyra's voice rang out clearly. "The council will decide your fate. Surrender now, or face the consequences of your actions." The remaining attackers realized their plans had failed. With their escape routes blocked and the palace guards closing in, they surrendered. Tom and Lyra stood together, calm yet alert, ensuring no one could escape unnoticed. When the intruders were taken to the council chamber, Lyra addressed the assembly. The enemy was not Earth, nor any outsiders. The attacks were carried out by a faction within Velora jealous of our alliance and seeking to create chaos. Humans were falsely accused because of fear, but today, we have seen courage, strategy, and loyalty prevent disaster. The council murmured in surprise. Tom stepped forward. Courage and loyalty are not limited to one species. Humans may be dangerous, yes, but they can also protect, solve problems, and work with allies to overcome threats. Danger does not always mean destruction. Lyra looked at him, pride in her eyes. He speaks the truth. The human before us has shown what our allies can achieve when we trust them. Today, we survived because of action, not fear. The council members nodded slowly, some reluctantly, others with newfound respect. The enemy had been revealed, and the threat neutralized. The palace was safe, and Velora's alliance with Earth had been strengthened by courage and ingenuity. Later, as Tom and Lyra walked through the quiet palace corridors, the events of the night weighed on them. "You were incredible," Lyra said softly. "Your actions saved Velora, and yet you did not seek praise. That is human courage." Tom smiled. Courage is not about recognition. It is about doing what is right, even when it is difficult. Loyalty is the same. We protect those who depend on us. That is how humans survive and thrive. Lyra nodded, understanding dawning. "I still believe humans are dangerous, but I also see that danger can be a shield. Strength, courage, and loyalty can turn fear into protection. Tonight, I witnessed that." Tom glanced at her. "Trust is rare, but it grows when actions match words. You trusted me, and together we succeeded. That is what makes alliances strong, and that is what makes humans valuable." The city outside shimmered under the twin moons, peaceful once more. Inside, a bond had been tested and proven. Trust had been earned, courage displayed, and loyalty confirmed. Lyra walked beside Tom, feeling a sense of security she had not expected. Danger had been present, yet in the presence of courage and action, she felt safe. Perhaps humans were not only dangerous. Perhaps they could also be heroes, allies, and protectors. Together, they returned to the council chamber, ready to face the next challenges, knowing that Velora had survived because of courage, strategy, and the unexpected strength of a human. The palace of Velora was alive with light and activity. After the recent attacks, the council had convened to restore order and strengthen defenses. The truth about the internal faction had been revealed, and the remaining conspirators were under arrest. For the first time in days, a sense of calm settled over the city. Tom walked beside Princess Lyra through the crystal corridors. Their steps echoed lightly, reflecting the energy of a city that had survived not through fear but through courage and trust. Lyra glanced at him, silver hair glowing softly in the sunlight. "You have changed many minds," she said quietly. "Not just mine, but the council's as well. They see now that humans can be more than their reputation suggests." Tom nodded. "Humans are not perfect. We make mistakes. But we can also learn, protect, and act with loyalty and courage. That is what I have tried to show. That is why we succeeded." Lyra smiled faintly. "Your actions have proven more than words ever could. I still believe humans are dangerous, yet I also see what they can achieve when guided by purpose and honor." The council chamber was filled with representatives from neighboring systems. They had come to observe Velora's response to the sabotage, expecting chaos, suspicion, and blame. Instead, they found order, cooperation, and evidence of courage. Lyra stood before the assembly, her voice clear and firm. The attacks on Velora were not caused by outsiders. They were the work of a faction within our own city, seeking to create fear and disrupt our alliances. Today, Velora was saved not by isolation or caution alone, but by courage, action, and cooperation. All eyes turned to Tom. He stepped forward, calm but confident. "I represent Earth, a human world. We understand that our reputation is not perfect. We have been called dangerous, reckless, and unpredictable. Yet, we are also loyal, brave, and resourceful. Today, I acted not for recognition, but to protect Velora and its people. Humans can be allies, and we can prove it through our actions. Murmurs of surprise and approval ran through the council. Some Velorans still looked skeptical, but many nodded, seeing the truth in Tom's words and deeds. The alliance between Earth and Velora had been tested, and it had survived through trust, courage, and understanding. After the council meeting, Lyra and Tom walked through the palace gardens. The twin suns shone brightly, reflecting off the crystal flowers and pools of water. Birds of light hovered in the air, singing their gentle songs. The city felt peaceful, almost as if the recent chaos had never existed. "You have earned more than trust," Lyra said softly. "You have earned respect, not just for yourself, but for your people. I believe now that humans can be allies, not threats." Tom smiled. "That is all I could hope for. Trust and respect are earned, not given. Humans will continue to act with courage, loyalty, and wisdom. That is how we survive, and how we protect those who depend on us." Lyra's eyes softened, and for a moment, she allowed herself to feel something she had never expected: relief and admiration combined. "I still see danger in humans. But I also see hope, strength, and the ability to do what is right. That is a rare combination." Tom nodded. "Danger exists everywhere. Even Velora has risks. But courage and loyalty turn danger into protection. That is what makes humans valuable. That is what makes alliances work." They paused by a pool of water, the surface reflecting their faces. Lyra looked at Tom, and for the first time, she felt the full weight of the bond they had formed. Danger had tested them, forced them to act, and revealed truth. Through action and courage, they had earned trust. "You were right about one thing," Lyra said quietly. "Humans are dangerous. But danger can be good. Danger can protect. You have shown me that humans can act with honor and strength. You have shown me what courage looks like." Tom looked at her with a calm smile. "And you have shown me what trust looks like. Trust is rare and precious. Your trust allowed us to prevent disaster. Your trust allowed courage to succeed. That is why we have formed something stronger than fear or suspicion. We have formed understanding." The palace bell rang, signaling the end of the day and the beginning of a new era. Guards and nobles walked calmly, the city returning to its normal rhythm. Outside, the twin suns dipped low, casting long golden reflections across Velora's towers. The city was safe, not because danger had been avoided, but because it had been faced together. Lyra turned to Tom. "The council will strengthen alliances with Earth now. They will remember today. Your people will be respected and trusted. You have proven that humans are more than their reputation." Tom bowed slightly. "Thank you, Princess. That is all I could hope for. I did not act for recognition, only for truth and protection. Today shows that humans can rise to any challenge, face any danger, and act with loyalty and courage." Lyra's eyes reflected the glow of the setting suns. "I still believe humans are dangerous. But I also believe that some humans, like you, are heroes. That is the truth I will carry forward." Tom smiled. "Then the bond is mutual. Humans will honor that trust, and together we can face whatever comes next. Danger will always exist, but so will courage and loyalty." They walked through the palace gardens, side by side, feeling a sense of peace and accomplishment. The city had survived, the enemy had been revealed, and trust had been forged between human and Veloran. The alliance with Earth was now stronger than ever. As the night fell, Velora shimmered under the light of its twin moons. Tom and Lyra stood together on a balcony, overlooking the city. Stars reflected in the crystal towers like scattered diamonds. The events of the past days had tested them, pushed them to their limits, and yet here they were, stronger and wiser for it. Tonight, Lyra said quietly, I feel that we are not just allies. We are partners. We have faced danger together, and we have survived. That is something no one can take away. Tom nodded. Yes. And tomorrow, we will face new challenges, but we will face them together. Humans and Velorans, courage and trust, strength and loyalty. That is how we survive. That is how we protect each other. Lyra smiled faintly. Perhaps I was wrong to fear humans so completely. Perhaps danger can be a force for good. You have shown me that humans can be more than what we imagine. Tom looked at her calmly. We are always more than what others believe. Danger, courage, loyalty, and strength are all part of who we are. That is what makes humans valuable and strong. The city below them glowed softly, peaceful and safe. The palace towers reflected the twin moons, a symbol of endurance and trust. Together, Tom and Lyra stood, ready to face the future, knowing that courage and loyalty could overcome fear and prejudice. For Velora and Earth, an alliance had been forged, tested in fire and danger, and proven through action and understanding. And in the quiet of the palace, two individuals, a human and a Veloran princess, stood side by side, united by trust, courage, and the shared belief that even danger could be turned into protection. The night was calm, but it carried the promise of a future built on loyalty, understanding, and the courage to face the unknown together.